situation, and we have allowed things to keep going despite the crisis that we're all facing. This coronavirus crisis is no exception. Budgets have been tightened across the board, and Nigeria is also feeling the pinch. Some of us teachers, in one way or the other, have been asked to take pay cuts. Leaders have taken pay cuts. School leaders have had to be creative about the way they spend whatever money they have left, because we are not making money as much as we used to. So this latest fiscal pause, because it has brought a pause to all economic developments, I believe should provide us leaders with an opportunity to stop, to rethink, and reimagine processes, systems, structures, and strategies relating to the way we operate our schools. And given what we know about the global talent shortage, there has never been a more critical time to invest in people and ensure that they are equipped with sufficient development opportunities and expertise to advance and realize their potential. And which is what I believe we're doing through the various webinar series that you are going through. One sector which is acutely observable under this new normal is education. And from the school leadership perspective, however, there are 5 big challenges that are facing us, and which this post-COVID-19 crisis is placing in front of us. The biggest leadership challenge will be how to transform our schools from being machines, static bureaucratic organizations, to living organisms, agile organizations that are stable, that are dynamic, which are able to respond to ever-growing disruptions. We need to prepare for the future that we do not know. What is going to happen in 2 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, we can only predict, but we're not sure. The next biggest challenge for us will be to increase what I will call new forms of value and demonstrate value in ways that will make parents see what they are paying for. At the moment, they're agitated. When we say we're going online, every one of them is saying to us, we can't pay you fees. And so we had to negotiate 60,000, 100,000, whatever it is, to ensure that we stay in business. So this speaks to the business model consolidation and innovation. We have to innovate and we have to be creative. The next biggest challenge is the operational side of things, which will be how to sustain the digital infrastructure many of us have plunged ourselves into, or which COVID has plunged us into. How to navigate the infrastructural and behavioral hurdles which are in front of us, and find ways of still attaining growth while keeping costs manageable. So that's number 3. Number 4, which is another biggest operational challenge for us, will be how to keep staff motivated. How to keep staff motivated. And this is the human resources challenge. How to keep staff motivated, how to keep them engaged in these desperately uncertain times. Some of them are coping, some are not coping. And I'm sure if we want to be honest with ourselves, we will ascertain to that. Femi started with asking how things had been with everybody for the whole week. And I'm sure people have gone through a lot. Network has let us down. Traffic has been horrendous. To be honest, I'm speaking to you from London, So I'm in a very advantaged position in one way or the other. Hopefully, once the international borders are open, I'll be back to my familiar territory. By the moment I'm here, but the war for talent is real. People will be competing for your good teachers, and good teachers are in high demand. We have to be, so that is the HR aspect. And then the last one, the biggest purpose challenge. I call this purpose challenge. And Femi, I'm happy to send you this paper at the end of it so that you can share it with the team, will be how to stay focused on keeping students well educated enough to pass both their internal and external exams. We're going through WAEC at this time. Very difficult situations for schools. How to be prepared and be successful in this rapidly changing global economy whilst dealing with all the things that I've mentioned above. So, in navigating these challenges, however, school leaders will have to challenge their assumptions and rethink their values, the way we've been doing things. The question of what kind of leadership is needed to lead schools through these uncertain times, I believe, is the most critical one. What kind of leaders do we need now? Your response will be dependent, of course, on your current situation in your school, as well as your short-term, your medium-term, and your long-term recovery plans. Because I believe we all need to be going into that recovery plan mode now that we've gone through the battery. And whichever way schools analyze the steep challenges above, I will suggest that you draw insights from John C. Maxwell. I'm a fan of John C. Maxwell, and he has proposed 5 levels of leadership, which are proven steps to maximize your own potential as well as the potential of your schools. And according to John Maxwell, no matter where you are in your leadership, remember what got you to where you are and what can get you ahead of your next level. The goal of life is not to live forever. The goal of life is to leave something that will live forever, that will outlive you, a legacy. That should be our goal. So interestingly, John Maxwell unfolded this step-by-step process, which have distinct stages. And according to him, leadership is purely influence. If people can increase their influence on others, they can lead more effectively. He explains that the challenge of leadership is to create change and facilitate growth. So we have to create change. Change is difficult. And this COVID-19 crisis is bringing about change. But we also need to grow. We also need to be successful. And we also need to thrive. So let's look at these 5 levels. Level 1 is the position level. This comes with the title of the job or your job description. And it is the starting place for every leadership, every level of leadership, the position level. This is the lowest level of leadership. People follow you because you are in a position of leadership, and they have to follow you. Positional leadership is the bottom floor and the foundational, and it's the foundation upon which all the other levels are built on, and upon which influence is also built on. Leaders at this initial level have been invited without leadership skills. They've been invited to the leadership table, but they might not be able to influence people yet outside their stated authority. So if you've been asked to become a principal, it's a title. That is a positional level. Other things will follow. Can you influence? Can you bring people on board? So the next level is a permission level, We call them permission leaders. These are people who need to make people know that they matter. You need to make your reports know that they matter. You need to focus on the value of each person in your team. So level 2, which is permission leaders, is based on relationships. Leaders at this level listen to people, and people listen to them. People follow them willingly because the leader has built relationships with them. Since they get on well with the leader, they gladly go along with that person, whoever. So you need to build relationships. That's the next level. So once you get recruited, you take up your post. The next level is for you to build relationships. And then, of course, the production good leaders. The production good leaders, that's level 3. They just don't create nice working environments. They also get things done. They produce things. That's the factory of the organization. This level is about gaining influence and credibility. So people begin to follow you because of what you have done for the organization. This level of leadership communicates vision through actions. They see you do things. You lead by example. When people see good results, they have a good reason to follow you. Production qualifies and separates leaders from people who merely occupy leadership positions. Producers will create a winning culture, and they will reap the benefits of positive momentum and high morale. In addition, their reputation for making things happen begins to attract other people and will begin to attract high achievers to the team. Because in any setting, there are high achievers, and they need to be attracted to the team. The weight of leadership here is heavier than the previous ones. That is the position level and the permission level. It's quite heavy at this stage. Perseverance at this stage is very key. And developing your people as a team is also very critical. And then we move on to the next stage, which is people development leaders. So you are producing, but you need to develop people. These are people who are great people, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. Pay attention to this. They are empowering others. They devolve responsibilities. At this level, you learn how to use your position, how to use your relationships, how to use your productivity to meet and to invest in your followers, to meet their needs and to invest in your followers, helping them to become leaders in their own right. So you need to begin to grow leaders so that you're not the only one. This level is about understanding that leaders change the lives of the people they lead, and that people are in organizations are the organization's most appreciable assets. People are the organization's most appreciable asset. If you use them well, you harness their skills, they will deliver for you. Leaders who reach this level will duplicate their influence by growing their teammates into leaders themselves. Don't be scared that they're going to take your job. So what? I want to move on. I want to move on to something else. The reason why people don't grow leaders is that they fear competition. They are scared that their job is at risk. That's what the bottom line is. Be ready to move on to something else and let people fill your seat. So developers acquire an eye for talent, and they do their utmost to bring their best out of each person within their sphere of influence. And as you unleash the unique strengths of the people in your team, the entire organization will rise to new heights. At this level, people follow you because of what you have done for them, not what you've done for the organization now, what you have done for them. personally, and that is important to note. Remember, I said that the previous one, it's about what you have done for the organization, the production level. This is what you have done for them. So people love to follow you because you are helping them to develop and grow. And so the last one is a pinnacle level. That is where we all want to get to. The highest accomplishment of leadership is developing other leaders to level 4. And this is what level 5 is all about. This level 5, the pinnacle leaders. It involves a high level of challenge. People follow this kind of leader for who they are and what they represent. For who they are and what they represent. By level 5, leaders have gained a reputation for excellence, and people will follow them on account of their person. So pinnacle leaders create a legacy. Remember that quote, it's what you leave and behind that matters. So the leaders create a legacy that transcends the organization and extends beyond their industry. So developing leaders is hard work and takes a great deal of skill, focus, and commitment. Pinnacle leaders will create opportunities that other leaders don't. They leverage their own leadership through others and see potential in other people who they can now develop and who they can now make to grow. So they see potential leaders for who they could be rather than who they are. And as a leader 5, as a pinnacle leader, you need to decide what you want to leave as a legacy, what your legacy should be. So the questions for you all, I'm not sure how many you are, 300, I think. Where are you on this continuum? Are you still at the position level, the permission level, the production level, the people development level, or are you a pinnacle leader? Where is your sphere of influence? Who are the people that you are influencing? Who are the people looking up to you? Who are they? And how many are they? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? I try to grow people. And my desire is always to see people thrive and grow and develop. And I'm glad I left the Waterman in 2017. Every senior leadership person that I worked with have moved on to green pastures. They have become even greater than I am. And that is the joy for me. So what relationship do you have with your reports? And do you actively search for talents with a view to growing leaders? Don't be scared. So your end goal should therefore be to become a pinnacle leader if you are not yet there. And if you're there, become another pinnacle leader. Redefine your goals, redefine your journey, and become another pinnacle leader. So in conclusion, the future for teaching and learning, teachers will become facilitators of learning and students will have more control over their learning journey. Classrooms of tomorrow need to focus on a combination of student engagement in learning, inquiry-based approaches. We call them sometimes project-based learning, curiosity, imagination, design thinking, risk-taking, resilience, all of these things need to be developed in your children. And of course, technology has changed education. The walls of the classroom are no longer a barrier as technology enables new ways of learning, communicating, and working collaboratively. So the future of technology in education is helping teachers to expand beyond the linear text-based learning. It is making them engage more with students who learn best in so many other ways. So teachers will benefit from this. The modern society that we live in, especially post-COVID, is now demanding high-quality teaching and learning from teachers. Teacher learning is a continuous process that promotes teachers' teaching skills, master new knowledge, develop new proficiency, which in turn will help them to improve students' learning and improve the learning outcomes of the students. So we must keep learning. And I'm glad that we're doing this. This webinar series makes me very joyful. I started with BAF when things were still in the formative stage. And I'm so delighted that BAF is now a pace setter in so many ways. In about 30 years, with COVID-19 changing our direction of travel and setting a totally new agenda for us, at least 90% of student population will be pursuing online degree programs. That's for sure. Most of the schools here in the UK, universities, are not opening in September. In fact, Cambridge University has said to us that they're not coming back until 2021, full stop. So everything is going to be done online because this has opened new windows. We've all improved our skills of working from home. So new opportunities have opened up for us. So education is going to be fully democratized and globalized with students unhindered by age, social, geographical, or national boundaries. I'm talking to you from almost 5,000 miles away, and we're engaging. Overall, the student-staff ratio of 10 to 1 student will be the norm. So we've been complaining of having classes of 200, 100, 300. It is going to be the norm in years to come. And as school leaders, as school owners, as potential school leaders, the teachers here, we have collective responsibility to ensure that we get through this uncertainty brought about by this virus, to build on the successes we've already made, and to explore new opportunities. Let's take risks. Let's explore new grounds. Let's do things in new ways. If it fails, it fails. We'll get up. At this point, people are making mistakes, and they're learning from their mistakes. So don't let it worry you if things don't work for you. And as the world we live in today changes to embrace new tech futures, how and what we teach in our education system, how we lead and manage schools will also be reshaped to keep up to date with the growing demands of the 21st century and the new normal brought about by COVID. Let me leave you with these two quotes, one by John Maxwell and one by Niccolo Machiavelli. John Maxwell says, when you like people and treat them like individuals who have value, you begin to develop influence. You can like people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without liking them. That's John Maxwell. Now you're going to have challenges as you begin to make these changes. Don't be put off. Listen to Niccolo Machiavelli. He says it should be borne in mind. And this was 1467. He lived between 1467 and 1527. So this was said so many years ago, and it's true today. He says it should be borne in mind that there is nothing more difficult to arrange, more doubtful of success, and more dangerous to carry through than initiating changes. The innovators will make enemies of all those people who prospered under the old order and will receive lukewarm support from those who will prosper under the new normal. So those who are enjoying the old style are going to give you a tough time, and they are not going to be that receptive And those who might even benefit from this new normal will be looking at you and be saying, let's see where this is going to take us. Don't be put off by that. Forge ahead, move ahead, make things happen, make that change take place. And I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to address you. I wish you all the success in the future. God bless you all. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very, very, very much, sir. Wow, that was deep. That was very deep. I didn't realize we were even in the UK. Thank you very much, sir. This is, I don't know, my note is full. I just kept on writing. Let me get some reaction quickly from the audience. Let me go to the chat room to see. Like I knew it. Look at the chat room, sir.
Yeah.
Well, this is insightful. Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. The 5 levels of leadership. Personally, I've taken that in. I've identified where I am currently. And we hope that we can bring BAF to the pinnacle level in the industry as well. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I wish you all the very best and have a brilliant day. Thank you so much for having me.
We will.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Amen, sir.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, so people, thank you. I know you can keep reacting in the room. It's fine. Let's go ahead. Because we do not have much time, right? So we're going to go ahead quickly to the next phase. But before I go ahead, I still want to hear from you. What's the key message? What level are you? What level as a leader, as an individual leader, what level are you at? Is it the positional? Is it the permission? Is it the production? Is it the people development? Is it the pinnacle? Where are you currently? You can just give me a few seconds to respond in the chat box while I share my screen to move on to the next level, the next phase of today's meeting. Quickly, what kind of leader, what leadership level are you at right now? What leadership level are you at right now? Even though I would have loved to ask a question, but I know our time is
go on, ask.
Okay, sir. The question is, if you can be at all these levels at the same time, or if you want to transit from one to the other, must you go progressively, or can you just jump from level 2 to level 5?
You don't jump. But interestingly, you can oscillate between levels. Because sometimes you are at the pinnacle level, and all of a sudden, you find yourself getting into a new job and taking a new position. So you have to now go back to that first level and develop your team and grow people. And so it's a cycle, really. It's a cycle depending on where you're at different points. And my advice is this: sometimes you need to go back and do some more production. Sometimes you need to go back and influence people. Sometimes you need to go back and do so many other things. The pinnacle makes you think about where you're at different times, and will be a check point for you on what things you've missed and what things you need to pick up. But it's a cycle, because we change jobs. And so your title might be that position at one point, and you need to start all over again.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
for the insight. I asked that question because I'm not sure if you'll still be here at the end of the session when we're supposed to take questions and answers. But I'm sure that
I may not be. I may not be, because I'm going into another session. Yeah. So I've reserved my time for you. But send me questions, and I will respond to them.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you
I have affinity for Bath. I love what Bath is doing. Okay?
God bless you. Thanks for that open endorsement. All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Bye.
All right, so let's say goodbye to Dr. Abimbola on the chat room. Go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you for your time, sir. We appreciate you. as we quickly dive into session 1. Wow, that was an amazing one. Okay, so we move on quickly. We have another prolific speaker, right, for session 1. She's someone I've known for years, and I can tell you that if I call her, don't let me tell you what I call her. Let me just go ahead and read her profile, okay? She's taking a session on leadership learning, motivation strategies for school faculty now and beyond. Her name is Ayokpeju Njideaka, right? That's Mrs. Ayokpeju Njideaka. Some of you know her, some of you do not know her, but I'll quickly read her profile so that we can be on the same page. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Nurture House Limited, an educational consultancy company committed to serving the Nigerian child by improving school leadership and quality of education in both private and public school. She has experience in educational leadership with an emphasis in instructional leadership, capacity building, development, and delivery. Ayokpeju holds a master's degree in educational psychology from the University of Lagos. She also holds a postgraduate diploma in education from the same university, in addition to a diploma in Montessori education from the College of Modern Montessori, South Africa. Meanwhile, she received a bachelor's degree in management and accounting from University of Ife and is a chartered accountant by training, right? She has served as head of school and executive director in a Santa Maria private school and as the pioneer director of administration at Day Waterman College in Abeokuta, after which she set up Nurture House Limited in 2013. She is the founder of Math Room, an initiative which focuses on training math teachers. She is a faculty member of the school leadership program run by the Enterprise Development Center at Pan Atlantic University in conjunction with APEN. She facilitates training sessions for volunteer teachers in NGOs such as United for Education, Teach for Nigeria, and Bumi Adedayo Foundation, as well as many other schools. She is a regular speaker at conferences and events. Now, let me add that she is an advisor, a program advisor at Bumi Adedayo Foundation. She is very close to us, and today we're going to enjoy the privilege of hearing, I call her Auntie Peju, right? Of hearing Mrs. Njideaka speak to us. Ma, if you're there, you can right away unmute your mic, share your screen, because we cannot wait to have you. All right.
Thank you very much, Femi. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm really excited to be here with you. If you can all hear me clearly, I just need a thumbs up from you. Okay, excellent. So thank you, Femi, for that very warm welcome. So Doc, thank you so much. Dr. Abimbola, if you're still there, thank you. You've done a fantastic job of laying a solid foundation for me. So for me this afternoon is another opportunity to ride on the shoulder of a giant. I love to ride on the shoulders of giants, and many people have given me their shoulders to ride on, which is why my shoulder is always available to people around me as well, and sometimes even to strangers. So Dr. Abimbola, thank you very much. 5 Levels of Leadership, awesome book to read by John Maxwell. So I advise you, if you do not have it, please just get that book and you'll be glad you did. So this afternoon, my bit is to talk about leadership learning and motivation strategies for school. Pardon me 1 minute. I just need to get something out of my way. Fantastic. For school faculty now and beyond. Now, why are we talking about now? What's the peculiarity of now? And I love the way Doc put it. He said, desperately uncertain times. I love that phrase, desperately uncertain times. And so that says, in this desperately uncertain times, what kind of learning do you need as a leader? Before you can even know the kind of learning you need, what kind of leader are you? What do you need to motivate yourself and motivate your team members? He also spoke about the recovery plans. So I'll delve in right away. So let me just blow this up. Awesome. So We only have 30 minutes. Looking at this, we want to identify strategies and ideas. And I think you should underline that or note that word ideas on your notebook, because we only have 30 minutes. Leadership can take us 1 year, learning another couple of years, and motivation also a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is to use a model, a concept, to anchor these three together. I'm glad that you started off the session by asking questions. You need to keep questioning yourself, your situation, and all. Reflection is something important in the season we're in. So our objective is simple. How do you get ideas on all these three in such a time like this? And I've used the acronym VUCA to describe that word. Before we delve in, can I have the poll up quickly? Can I have the poll up? So can you just fill that very, very quickly? If you listened carefully to Dr. Bimbola, these two shouldn't be difficult for you. They're just two questions. And all I want to see you do is pick which one applies to you. In your opinion, which word best describes leadership? And you have three: control, direction, fantastic, awesome. The other one is not so straightforward. Which of these best describes your COVID lockdown experience? And I can see the numbers shooting up. Fantastic, 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 fantastic. Wow, wow, wow. I love what I see here. Okay. I'm just going to give us 1 more minute, really. If you haven't clicked, quickly click on yours. We're going to pull this down. We have quite a number of people who have answered. And so please hurry up so that we can continue. Okay, are we all done? If you just give me 1 minute, then we will go back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry. I thought this had gone up. Okay, thank you very much. So we can take that poll down. But I'm going to ask for something very quickly. I don't know what's going on here. So Femi, just do me a favor. Let me try and stop sharing. You share from your end. Yeah, I was struggling with my cursor, but it seems to have come up. So even my camera is not coming on. Have I stopped sharing? Just go ahead and share from your end, if you can do that. Are you able to do that?
Yes, in a minute. I can take that up.
Okay.
Yeah, just a second.
You know, it's interesting. Earlier on today, I was harassing Femi about last night. And as soon as nothing to do with any fault of theirs, but again, it was a technology issue. And as soon as I got off the phone, the first thought that came to my mind is, you better beg God to help you. So that you know you have something, you're harassing somebody else. And there we are, here we are now. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, if you just share from there, then I need to, I was actually, have you stopped, have you pulled down the poll?
Yeah, the poll has gone down.
Okay, fantastic. I can't see from my end, but I'll just do what I need to do. So I'm glad you have all responded to that poll. If you can just go on to, where are we now? Okay, fantastic. So please go on to that, the slide that says characteristics of the now. Characteristics of the now. So we can see, to be honest, there's so many. Dr. Abimbola summed this up beautifully by calling it what? Desperately uncertain times. So what does this mean to us? It means that for many of us, there are things we're not coping well with. And if that is what is happening to us as individuals, clearly the same will be happening to our subordinates. So that's what it is. So, okay, again, I want you to now go to the polls. We'll just move on, don't worry. Technology is not going to slow us down. That's why it's important. Femi, have you been able to share slides from your end?
Yes, yes. We are on the what characterizes the noun.
Okay, I can see a future. Oh, yeah, I can see it from my end as well. I don't know why someone is saying they can't see it. Okay, I can see it. So what characterizes this season we're in? A lot of things: fear, joblessness, hunger, and all. Please move to the next slide. The screen is on now. Thank you very much for notifying us. So please move to the next slide. And what I want you to do, quick exercise. You can move to the next slide. So what I need you to do, a very quick exercise, is look at that first date. The arrow has moved, sorry, it's okay. The first date, the 23rd, that was when we closed down. Somebody says they can't hear, but I assume others can hear.
Well, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
You can hear me? Okay, so I'm going to go on. Okay, so let's quickly, I've lost a few minutes, but I'm going to catch up real fast now. So we all went on lockdown on the 23rd of March. Today is the 20th, and that gives us about 5 months. So I want you to go into the chat box and write how you felt in March and how you're feeling now. How you felt in March, just put end of March, write March, put a dash, put how you were feeling. This is August, put a dash, put how you are feeling now. So if you can do those two quickly for me, then we'll move on. I need you to identify March. Yeah, Chinwe says in March she was worried. Thank you, Chinwe. In August, how are you feeling? Uncertain future, very uncertain. End of March, you felt scared. I had a feeling of uncertainty. Excellent. Now let's look at August. How are you all feeling in August now? How are you all feeling in August? How are you all feeling in August? Just put for me, yes. Worried, yes. August, you feel empowered. Awesome, fantastic, I love that. Clarity, you are hopeful. So am I, so am I. And thank God technology has behaved itself now. Awesome. So that tells me something about it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're a bit clear about that. Can I have the next slide, please? Confused, and now you are feeling empowered. You're now feeling empowered. And so the concept I'm going to use to explain this very, very quickly is a concept called VUCA. And VUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. What does this mean? We are in such uncertain times. COVID itself is such a strange strain that nobody knows. I mean, nobody has been able to pin it down that this is how it works, this is how it happens. Initially, they said it's people with underlying factor who gets hit the most, but we've seen young people die from it, young, healthy people. The same thing that has happened to our education sector. Number one is being closed down. We're not even sure how things will go. Yes, schools are going to resume. The SS3 have resumed, but we're not sure of many things. So the volatility, the uncertainty, those two things have been an issue for us. Then complexity. It's interesting to watch teams sit when they're planning for COVID. You have educators seated, you have the health people seated, you have environment, you have so many people. So this issue is not, number one, limited to our industry. It involves every other person. And the last thing is ambiguity. You're not sure. It's not clear. You can't define it. You can't pin it down. Next slide very quickly, please. So it's important that you understand that, yes, we're in bad times, but what you focus on, right, is what gets magnified. What you focus on is what gets magnified. So I'm going to leverage on another version, you know, the new version of VUCA. And the original VUCA was it actually came up many, many years ago after the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union. And these were the things that characterized the environment at that time. So a few years ago, some consultants from McKinsey and other management consulting companies came and said, you know what? It's good to have VUCA, the original VUCA that focus on all the issues, but can we have something else that, number one, describes the environment and also the leadership style required so that leaders have something to focus on? So instead of volatility for the V in VUCA, it's vision. Instead of uncertainty, it's understanding. Instead of complexity, it's courage. For some other versions, you will see clarity. Then instead of ambiguity, you have adaptability. For other versions, you will see agility. Next slide, please. But whichever one, whether it's courage, whether it is agility you choose, is the same. So I'm going to anchor our conversation on those four areas. Now, when we talk about vision, vision can be defined very simply as your thinking. Whatever your ability, I'll take it again. Vision is your ability to think about or plan the future. And I want you to mark these words very carefully, or plan the future with imagination and wisdom. Vision, your ability to think about or plan the future with two things, imagination and then wisdom. Wisdom is defined as what? The right application of knowledge. The right application of knowledge. That's what you define wisdom as. So as a leader, it's a season, I said it before, for you to start to reflect. So you need to go back to your vision. This vision we set as a school,
Is this still applicable now? If you set your vision right in the first place, at this point of COVID, you will still be committed to raising a certain kind of student, to ensuring you raise children with certain qualities. And that means it's only your strategy that will change along with the environment. But it doesn't matter where you are. Important thing is to know where you are, review your vision. As a leader, what would that do to you? Number one, it will give you clear direction. Remember that leadership is about influence. You cannot influence when you don't have a direction you want to influence in. So that's important. And it also sets the tone for the organization. What are we doing? Where are we? What are we going to? So it's very important that you get clarity on your vision. Now, another thing I would like to speak about in the context of reviewing where you are. The quality of your thoughts determine the quality of the questions you ask. The quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of the outcomes you get. So it's very simple. Your thinking will determine your question. Your question determines your outcome. So it's important that as a leader, you understand what are your thoughts on. If all you can think about is, oh, these parents just don't want to cooperate with me, then it means that your question will be, how can we get other parents who will cooperate? But really, your question should be, how can I satisfy and keep these parents and then get more parents? So you're saying, how can I keep my parents sweet and happy so that they will attract more for me? And I will also attract more for myself. Instead of, if your thought pattern is negative, you're saying, how can I get rid of these parents who are not here to help me as a school? And the same thing with a teacher. If you're a teacher in the classroom, it could be directed at your students. If you have a wrong thought about a child, you're saying to yourself, this problem child, how can I get rid of you and get better students in my class? But ideally, what you should be saying is, how can I support these ones? Learn from them and use my experience to gain more. So it's important the kind of questions you ask. As a school, what are the things you want to think about? 4 areas I've identified. Curriculum, you want to question yourself about the curriculum. Can your curriculum deliver your vision based on all the changes? We all complain about the Nigerian curriculum. I know we do so, but it's not enough to complain. What do you want to add with it? And whatever you add to it, what you should ask yourself about your curriculum, 3 key questions. What's the knowledge coming out of this? What are the skills? And what's the attitude? And these 3 put together, are they going to put the children we're producing in a good stead for the next level? Next level could be university, it could be primary school, whatever your level, ask yourself these things. What methodology? That's your pedagogy. How we are assessing them? Is the assessment so hard that all they are thinking of is exams and they freeze on exams? And then what do I need to be able to do this? So these are the things that you need to ask yourself as a learner of a school. I've spoken about the 3 areas. Then for learning, you as the owner, where are you? As a teacher, where are you? What are your learning gaps? What skills do you need for today? Then what's your personal development plan? It's all going to come from all this thinking and your questions. Finally, on motivation and vision. You see, the man who is not motivated is the one who does not have a compelling vision. When you have a compelling vision, something you believe in, something that you know is real, you start to think like one who wants to leave a legacy. That's Pinnacle. So it's not about you. How can I get the right team to put this and pull this off? That is what you will be thinking about. Can I have the next slide very quickly, please? Thank you. So we move on quickly to understanding. But one thing you should also think about your vision in the kind of system we're in now. How do I raise independent learners? And for you to raise independent learners, you must have a team that can learn independently. So please do not forget that student agency in this day and age we're in is very, very important. So do you have a deep understanding of the quick changing environment you are in? This very unpredictable environment. Do you have an understanding of the environment first? Do you have an understanding of yourself in the context of that environment? And it's not unusual. For people who are not particularly young, especially school owners, they've planned, they've built up, they've done so much. Imagine those lovely classes that the building, the massive building that you put up. Imagine it now. It's been rendered unusable for 5 months. For those of you paying rent, you've paid rent for 5 months without actually making income from your building. Whatever income you've made have been outside the building. So there are many things that will be going on. So you must, number one, understand how to calm yourself so that you can understand your situation, understand your student's situation. And I'll give an example very quickly of this. Where are you with your students and parents? Some students cannot even afford. Some parents can't afford data. They cannot afford all that. What are you doing with them? 2 school owners that I spoke to early days of COVID, one said to me, I called my parents and I told them we were going online. And they said they don't have money. So what I did was I called my staff quickly and I said to them, if you want us to have a business at the end of this day, you need to take scripts or take worksheets out. You need to interact. And she bought them gloves, she bought them face masks, bought them sanitizers, all they need, and they went on. Today, her school, they've even moved partially online. The other person said to me that she doesn't even have time for that. If they cannot do online, too bad. Today, I don't know whether she's going to have a school when school resumes. I mean, she's the only one who can answer. So again, all these things have to do with your thinking, the kind of response you give. And if you do not understand your situation, you cannot respond effectively. Organizational context is very important. Why is this important? No 2 schools are the same, and no 2 schools will be the same after COVID. I will tell you why. Every school design is different. What will not change is the number of students per capacity, per space. So it means for some schools, they'll be able to house 12 in a room. Others will be able to house only 10. Others maybe 8, depending on size. So your context is important to you. What stage are your teachers? Some of us have teachers who are vulnerable. Then the age we call the vulnerable age, and that means they're over 60. Even the law says protect them against COVID. What is your context? You need to know that. Your staff, where are they? And then your other stakeholders. So as you're doing this, you need to ask yourself many, many questions. What's the impact on your school? How are you going to sort this out? What support do parents need? Are you communicating with your staff? Do you have a clear interaction with them? What are new entrants doing? As we're speaking, some people are starting educational institutions, not necessarily physically. Then what has happened to the economic and bargaining power of your parents? If there's something to learn from competitors, those who are doing it, what do you want to learn? Remember I said it's going to be a very reflective period for you. Then what are the threats of substitutes? For instance, I know many, many teachers who have gone online. They have their own online learning platform. Their bosses in school are not coping. If I know a young girl, she called me for something. I said, what's going on? How is school? And she said, Auntie, I've left them. I said, but she said, the owner is not serious. That she's asking me to use my own money for data. That after all, she's paying me half salary. That if I use the same data for myself with my students, I know what I'll get. She resigned from that school. So you need to know whether you like it or not. Your teachers can be your competitors. And teachers, reality of it is sometimes it's good to speak to school owners. I know you will say they don't listen, and I will come to a point where I will actually address that. The next thing that is important for us as leaders, if we're looking at leadership, we're looking at learning, we're looking at motivation, the next thing is the C. I said some people, for some models, it's courage. You can change the slide, please. For some models, it is courage. For other models, it is clarity. So what are the things? Why courage? Look at this. Look at the picture you have there. Somebody, number one, you're in the middle of rocks, and then you're jumping. If you fall, I mean, this person, I don't know what will happen, but that's the situation a lot of us find ourselves in. But guess what? If you focus on your vision, the goal, it's up there, it's never down. If you focus on the rocks below, you are likely to fall because the fear will pull you down. Or if you focus on your vision, you stay positive, then you will do certain things better. The first thing you will do better is communication. Clarity of communication is now more important than ever. Are you communicating clearly with your staff? Are you sharing with them? Are you telling them the reality? Even if you cannot afford to pay, are you explaining to them, or you're just phoning them or sending them message, I can't pay you, school has not been on. You as a leader, you must remember too, permission is about engagement. That's the second level of leadership. Permission is important. If you communicate with them, you will be able to do that. Okay, I've noted the time. I would hurry up now. All right. So courage involves a lot more things. And on this point, so that I can move on to the next thing, I'm going to say communicate with openness and sincerity, focus on your team members' needs, give them direction and hope. And again, I go back to John Maxwell. Go and read John Maxwell's 21 laws of 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Law 10 talks about connection. It will help you to understand that much better. So can we go to the last one, which is adaptability? Please go to the last, yes, I'm almost done now. Go to the next slide. What does adaptability mean? That chameleon tells you the story. Are you able to shift and move? Are you agile enough in your thoughts? Are you agile, or you're fixing, this is how we're doing? Can I have the next slide, please? Or your thought is fixed to this is how we do things here. So excellent. Now I'm going to share with you a model very quickly by a gentleman called Michael O'Connor. It's important that I acknowledge other people's works that I am leveraging on. And he divided adaptability into two things. Number one, flexibility. Flexibility is about your attitude. Remember when I talked about, the first thing I said about adaptability is what's going on in your head. Are you saying this is how we've been doing it since I started the school? If that is where you are at, you need to revisit that. The other one is your versatility. Can you, that's your aptitude. Do you have the skills? I remember early days of COVID, before we say Jack Robinson, I had jumped on Zoom. I knew about Zoom, but I never really used it. And by April, we were running sessions, and I did that consistently. Thank God today, I moved on from Zoom. When I use Zoom now, I use it as just one unit in other things. Microsoft Teams is one of the most difficult platforms to work with. But somehow we pushed ourselves. Even Dr. Abimbola that you saw, he's not a young person as you saw him, but he has started manipulating teams as if we all were born in it. So it's important that your attitude, you need to sharpen your soul. How do you help yourself with attitude? Your confidence, your openness, you cannot run away from that. And then empathy, positiveness, and respect. If you respect people, they will respect you in return. And one way to respect is to listen. Vision for your aptitude, if your vision would drive your resilience, because you are clear about what you can see, it will drive your resilience. Then attentiveness, are you listening to yourself? And attentiveness, I said I was going to talk about something earlier on. You see, life, some things in life come from above, some come from up. Imagine yourself on a mountain. The dew will fall on you as the leader, but vapor is rising. You see, all the things that you are saying your subordinates don't know anything. And I don't even like to call them subordinates. I like to call them team members. Your team members have useful information from you, leverage on them. The next slide, and I think that's my wrap up. So your team members have so much. So I will say listen to them. That's where attentiveness comes in. Now, what are the pitfalls? Rigidity, I've said it over and over. That's how we used to do it. Competition, if you focus on competition rather than collaboration, this is not the season to compete like that. Discontentment, if you are not happy with what you do, go and revisit your vision and be happy. When you're discontent, it drains your energy. Being unapproachable, bluntness or tactlessness, and this is important, mind how you speak. The fact that somebody is behaving like they don't understand what's going on, the worst thing to say is, are you stupid? Can't you learn? It's better for you to say, do you want to go and sit and review what you've done? Is there a better way? And then the last thing is risk-taking. So ladies and gentlemen, please give me the last slide. Okay, so that's the credit. The next one to that, I believe I've come to the end. So I have spoken about 4 V's. I've spoken about 4 V's. The first V, vision. The second V is what? Understanding. The third V is the C, which is what? It's either what? Clarity or courage. And the last one, adaptability or agility. There's no how you practice those 4 things that you will not get better. So please go ahead quickly. Let's do the poll. Apologies, tech made me eat out of my time. Apologies to Bumi Adedayo Foundation. Okay, so let's take the poll very, very quickly, and then we will come to the end of the session. Whilst you're taking the polls, for those who have finished, I'm going to leave a few words with you. And it says, survivor can be summed up in 3 words. You know, it's a business that survives that will thrive. So you want to get past and then start to thrive, as Doctor said. So survivor can be summed up in 3 words. Never give up. Whatever you do, do not give up. Whatever you do, do not give up. All right? Never give up. So I wish you the very best, because never giving up is really the heart of it. That's the reality. You don't give up. You keep trying. It's okay to fail. What is not okay is to stay in your failure. So on that note, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us, and I'll be around to take questions after. Thank you. Bumi Adedayo, thank you for having me, and apologies for the delay with technology at the beginning. Over to you, Femi.
Thank you very much, Ma. Wow, I caught that comment. You are deep, madam. I caught that from the chat room.
Thank you for the kind words.
Madam. Thank you very much, Ma. Let me just take the last that you gave us. Survivor can be summed up in 3 words. Whatever you do, do not give up. Wow, I don't want to go back to VUCA and the old and the new VUCA. Let me leave that to the audience. But I just want to say thank you very much for your time, Ma, for the wisdom that you have shared with us. Yes, thank you. Okay, let me receive reactions from the chat box. What's your biggest takeaway? Your biggest takeaway from that powerful session? Wow, on leadership. It's we can't exhaust it, like she said. 1 whole year we are still teaching leadership, but it's important at this time for us to quickly dust. Yes, don't give up. Dust our boots and begin to run. There is no more time for us to be feeling the way we're feeling in March. Okay, never give up. Never give up. Leadership, learning, motivation. All right, thank you very much, people. Keep your responses coming while I quickly move on to the next speaker. 4:22, we've now started racing against time, but I know that we will finish right on time. Okay, let me quickly go ahead to introduce the next speaker. In person of Mrs. Tinuola Olufowobi. Please keep your responses coming. I like what I'm getting. Adaptability, never give up. I like what I'm getting. Keep that coming while we quickly move on to the next session. And this is the last teaching session for the day. After this, we'll go into question and answers. Session 2 focuses on plan and action steps for school improvement. Plan and action steps for school improvement. You realize that we have arranged the session in such a way that you get wisdom from the previous one for you to build on to the next one, and then we move on and on. So this says plan and action steps for school improvement, preparing for the new normal. Let me quickly read the profile, very short profile of Mrs. Tinuola Olufowobi. She's an erudite educationist who worked at secondary school education level for over 30 years. She has been principal of various international secondary schools and was the pioneer principal of 2 of these schools. Now, if you know what it means to pioneer something, then you will understand what I just said better. She has facilitated diverse professional development workshops for teachers and school heads and still continues doing so. She retired from active service in 2017 after a successful and rewarding career and is currently the lead education consultant with Stand Firm and Associates, an organization that works with schools to raise students' academic achievements by improving school systems and processes. Mrs. Olufowobi has attended several workshops and seminars in Lagos, Ghana, South Africa, and the UK. She is the author of the Study Smart series and a member of the BAF faculty. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this afternoon for the last run of the training, Mrs. Tinola Olufowobi. You have the floor, ma. You need to unmute yourself and take over the floor. Is Mrs. Olufowobi here?
I'm doing that.
Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon, great educators. I'm really pleased. I'm happy to be here with us today. I first of all want to say a very, very big thank you and appreciate the efforts and the presentation of Mrs. Ndijiaka. She has really laid a fantastic foundation for our presentation today. We're going to start the second session of the webinar for educators organized by Bumi Adedayo Foundation. By Bumi Adedayo Foundation. And we'll be discussing this afternoon the topic, plan and action steps for school improvements, preparing for the new norm. At the end of this presentation, all of us should be able to explain the term school improvement planning. We should be able to state the purpose, principles, and scope of a school improvement plan. We also should be able to identify the essential school policies that need review in preparing for the new normal. And finally, we should be able to develop, implement, and assess a school improvement plan using the action steps. What is school improvement planning? School improvement planning. What do you understand by that term? School improvement planning. I want you to take a few seconds to think about the term school improvement planning. What comes to your mind? Yes, I want us to come up with a word or a phrase that explains school improvement planning. Just give me a word or a phrase. Can we all hit the chat box and let's have a word or a phrase that talks about school improvement planning? Yes, a word. Yes, rebranding. Fantastic, Buki David. I like that. Effective operation, Funsho Kehinde Fagbon. Fantastic. Oh, this is beautiful. Awesome. Moving forward, planning for the future. Yes, that's what all school improvement planning is about. It's a process. The process is strategic. It's a cyclic process. And it's a process that enables us to set goals. We need to set goals. And when we set these goals, we set the goals for progress. That's why the word improvement is there. And when we set the goals, we need to know, take decisions about how and when the goals will be achieved. It's not just a matter of setting your goals. You also need to talk about or decide how these goals will be achieved and when the goals will be achieved. At the end of the process, the planning process, you must come up with a document, a written document, which is referred to as the school improvement plan. The school improvement plan. So the school improvement planning process produces the school improvement plan. And what does the school improvement plan, what does it do? The school improvement plan shows how, it documents how and when changes will be made. It documents what kind of changes will be made and when these changes will be made and how these changes will be made. You can also describe the school improvement plan as a roadmap. I'm going somewhere, I have determined my destination, there are various routes I can take. But if I have a roadmap, the roadmap directs me it takes me through the shortest, most efficient route. So when I have my school improvement plan, I handle it as a roadmap, and it takes me to my desired destination. It ensures set goals are achieved. But during this process, there's something I want us to keep at the back of our minds. The school improvement planning process has one objective. And the objective is to improve all students' achievement level. Our students' achievement level. In fact, I will say that all activities that takes place in a school environment has only one objective. The main focus is the students, the child, the achievement level of that child. And when we're talking about the achievement level, we're looking at the cognitive, we're looking at the psychomotor, we're looking at the affective, everything that the child needs to become a better person in the future. We have looked at school improvement planning. We have also looked at the school improvement plan and what it does. We'll now go to the next topic, the next issue, that is identifying the changes to be made. I'll quickly gloss through this because thanks to Mrs. Indijiaka, she has said a lot about these areas. But to ensure your school area, to ensure you plan properly, you need to choose a goal, select a goal in one of these 4 categories. And these 4 categories are all encompassing. They take care of all activities that occur in a school. The first is the leadership and management category. When you're looking at the leadership and management category, you can look at other things that you can look at apart from what Mrs. Indijiaka said. Staff employment, staff development, staff retention, because this is primarily the duty or the role that a leader or the management of the school should play. What do you want to do about it this time around? Another area or category we can look at is achievements and the progress of pupils. The achievements and the progress of pupils. Under the achievements of progress of pupils, you may be looking at, and Mrs. Indijiaka also said it, are my pupils taking ownership of their learning? Do I want to improve the school-home relationship so that my children, my students in school can receive more support from home to ensure that their academic progress is improved on? Another category you need to look into is the quality of teaching and learning that takes place in your school. Remember, we're talking about identifying the changes to be made. The third is the teaching and learning. You need to raise the standard of teaching and learning. It has to be done every year. Every time you have a development plan, you should have a goal to raise the standard of teaching and learning. Do you want to review your curriculum, like she said? Do you want to review your textbooks? Do you want to review your meals? Maybe you notice that when children eat a particular meal, after break, they all sleep. Do you need to change that so that it won't affect the quality of their learning? Then it's also compulsory, just like the keynote speaker said. You must develop your staff. The improvement goals must include, one, a goal that addresses the professional needs of your staff. You must have looked at which areas are the staff weak in. What can I do as a leader to ensure that the staff meets the required standard? And the last category, which is the behavior and safety of pupils. And this is very vital, especially as we are all preparing and looking forward to resuming after this COVID-19 break. How am I going to receive my students? What am I going to put in place to ensure that the pupils are safe and their behavior is compatible with what the federal government has asked schools to put in place? So after identifying your goals by taking a good look at these 4 categories, we now go quickly. Remember, we have done the school improvement plan, we have spoken about it, and we have also looked at the school improvement planning process that produced this plan. And we've just concluded now with the areas you need to focus on and pick your goals when planning. But before we go into the real planning process, we need to look at the purpose of a school improvement plan. Why? Why should I? Can't I just do what I want to do, what I feel like doing? What is the purpose of a school improvement plan? 1, a school improvement plan keeps you focused. You know what you want to do. You are not, your attention is not easily distracted. And I caught something Mrs. Inderica said. She said, the ability to think about and plan the future. You need to think about it, plan the future. And when you're doing that, you focus on it. Your school improvement plan allows you to focus on the now, and leave others till later. Everything is important, or you can do everything at the same time. Then the school improvement plan also gives you a sense of direction. It helps you to ensure that you're working according to plan. We all know as leaders, you can't predict the school system. It's a system that is highly unpredictable. You come to school today, it may be calm. Tomorrow, it's one issue after the other. So it's highly unpredictable. But if you have a plan and your plan has been properly done, no matter the disturbance around you, no matter what happens around you, your plan keeps you focused. It gives you a sense of direction. You won't be confused. And number 3, the plan also helps you to monitor your students' progress and potential. If you don't have a plan, you don't have anything to monitor. What will you monitor? But if you have a plan, you have set your goals, you have planned for these goals, then you can monitor your students' progress. Okay, my children, 50 of them made 5 distinctions last year because you planned for it. 30 of them made credits. 2 of them didn't do too well. I have got my data. Then I plan. And then the next year I can monitor. But if I don't have a plan on ground, there is nothing for me to monitor. And if there's nothing for me to monitor, I can't categorically say my school is improving. So the purpose of a school improvement plan It gives you focus, it gives you a sense of direction, and it also helps you to monitor your students' progress and potential. And finally, it makes you see the big picture. You see the big picture. You are not easily distracted. You see the big picture from the beginning. At the beginning of the term, you know where you are taking your school to. You know what you're going to achieve the first time. You know what you're going to achieve the second time. You know what you're going to do the third time. So at the beginning of the day, you see the picture. You see the big picture. We have spoken about the school improvement plan. We have spoken about the school improvement plan. We've spoken about the process. We have also discussed the areas of focus, the purpose of the plan. We'll now quickly go to the principles of successful school improvement planning. There are many, we have a lot. What we quickly look through for. One, I've said that before, it's all about the child. It is all about the child. It's not about your profits. It's not about what you want to gain. It's about developing that child, ensuring that that child achieves the highest potential. Then two, it has to be a collaborative thing. You are not the only one in charge. You are the leader. Yes, you are. But you are not the only person. You have to work with other people. You need to put in place a school improvement team. And your school improvement team must be made up of representatives of all communities in your school. You must have them represented. You must have the senior leadership team, members represented, teachers represented, accountants represented, cleaners, everybody, every community must be represented in your school improvement team. And the school improvement team can now work with sub-teams who will be assigned to develop plans concerning goals concerning the various aspects or categories that you have chosen. You need to be honest. It's a principle, honesty. Don't be like the ostrich. You need to be honest about your plan. You need to be open, because if you want to move forward, then honesty is key. And finally, the fourth one, you need to be ready for change. If you're not ready for change, if you're not prepared for change, Mrs. Indijiaka has mentioned everything about change and things like that, and I'm sure you have noted them down. If you're not ready for change, I would advise that you shouldn't even commence the journey or start the journey or work on improvement planning, because it may become an exercise in futility. You need, like I said, 4 things we're looking at. Focus on the child, collaborative efforts, honesty, and be ready for change. We'll quickly go through the stages of the school improvement planning and corresponding central questions. We have said a lot about the planning process, the plan. We've said about the monitoring, we've said about the process, we've spoken about the progress and everything. But we'll quickly go to the stages of school improvement planning. The first thing, you need to build awareness. Your school improvement team needs to build awareness. And while they're building awareness, your question is, why is a school improvement plan important? They need to inform, they need to create awareness. Your parents must know what you're doing. Every member of your community must know what you're doing and why you are embarking on the school improvement plan. Secondly, you need to conduct a quality assessment. You need to conduct a quality assessment. The school improvement team will work with other sub-teams to assess, to carry out an assessment of your school. And during the assessment, you need to answer the question, how is our school doing in the area of leadership? How is our school doing in the area of the quality of teaching and learning? How is our school doing in this area? And then the documents. After they have done that, they now need to identify the changes to be made. What do we intend to change? Do we want to change our school uniform? Simply because we want our children to have a sense of pride. Do we want to change our teaching methodologies? Because we want to develop independent students who will take ownership of their learning. This also will be documented. And then we come out with the school improvement plan. How do we plan for change? How do we plan for change? That is what the school improvement plan is all about, planning for change. And finally, the last stage, we look at monitoring and evaluating. How well are we implementing? We have built awareness, we have conducted a quality assessment, we have identified, we have created the school improvement plan, then we need to monitor. During the monitoring process, if we observe, oh, we are achieving our goals, then why are we doing that? We look at it, we give ourselves to the next stage, make it higher. Do we want to do we want to make our stakes higher? Or do we want to move to another area? Then we build awareness again. If during our monitoring and evaluating process, we notice that, we have not achieved our goals, we are behind, we now ask ourselves, what is happening? Where did we get it wrong? What have we left undone? What did we do well? And again, we build awareness and the cycle continues. But one assurance I can give to all school owners, administrators, and teachers now is that as you move through this cycle, your school improves, moves from one level to a higher level. And as you get central questions, making use of your school improvement team. It's not a one-man thing, like I said, a collaborative effort. You will notice baby steps initially before you notice the giant steps that your school will achieve. Now, to write our school events plan, we need to understand what an action step is all about. What is an action step? What do we understand by an action step? An action step refers to specific, An action step refers to specific efforts. It refers to specific efforts. It refers to specific efforts that will be made to reach your planned goals. You have planned your goals. Those specific efforts you need to make to reach that goal are what we refer to as action steps. They should be SMART, and I'm sure we all understand what SMART means. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and must have a timeline. These action steps must tell you what activities that will occur what extent will this act? How far? When are you going to do them? These activities, these timelines with also action steps will also make you know the time you're going to start, or the time you're going to start, and how far you're going to go with the step you're going to take. We now quickly zoom in to the new normal. On the screen now, we need to plan for this. I want us to quickly hit our chat boxes, looking at the pictures I have on the screen. What policies do you think we need to review? What policies do you think we need to review? Do we need to plan for in the new normal? Policies we need to plan for in the new normal. For in the new normal. ICT policies, cyberbullying policies. Our children are more exposed. Yes, fantastic, Vona. I like that. Handling children who are sick. We need to look at our policy for handling children who are sick. Technology, fantastic. Hand washing, social distancing, fantastic. What policies do we need? Yes, fantastic. Fantastic, awesome. Security of our children, fantastic. Technology. Teaching methodology, very good. Now, phones. In those days, before the COVID era, we used to say, no phones in school. If you bring phones to school, we will seize your phone. But what are we doing now in most cases? We are putting the school inside the phone. So we need to look at these policies, identify the policies which we have all said, teaching children, educating children on how to prevent infection, looking at how we can save them, teaching the children safe distancing, blended teaching, very good. And we also need to plan for our teachers to ensure that they are also in control of the learning procedure. On the screen now, I have a sample of a development plan. But because of time, I have only written one action step or task. For this plan, my focus area is I want to improve teaching strategies and methodologies. That's what I want to do. And my goal is that at the end of the academic session, I want to see a 20% increase in students' academic achievement. Remember, I said we have a data before. You have to keep your data. Maybe last year, I've told you that we have maybe 20% and 50% of them with asterisk distinctions, 30 with distinctions, 10% with credits, another 5% with a mixture of credits and distinctions, and so on. But now, for the next academic session, I want to increase our students' academic achievement by 20%. That is my goal. So my first action step, I will, like we have said, we gather the school improvement team together, we brainstorm. And then the first action step is we're going to inaugurate a professional development committee. We're going to inaugurate the professional development committee. What is our timeline? Second week in July. What resources do we need? Computer, stationery. I need all my heads of department as my resource people. Who is the monitoring person? The head teacher. What is the success criteria? Success criteria tells me when I have achieved my goal or achieved the action step. Successful inauguration of the PTC as scheduled. Not just successful inauguration of the PTC, but successful inauguration of the PTC as scheduled. Second week of July. And in the brainstorming session, we come up with several other action steps with their timelines, resources, monitoring persons, success criteria. And the final action step will be a review of the results at the end of the term. Are we moving closer to our goal? Are we achieving our goal? So we review the results and then chart the way forward. Finally, we go to the monitoring and evaluating session. Depending on the size of your school, a follow-up team can be created. It depends on how large your school is. And just like the school improvement team, you must have representatives of all your school community. All your school community members must be represented. Teachers, parents, pupils to form the team. And it is advisable at this stage that you include at least one person who is an external member of your school. That person may be able to see what you or your team members have missed out. In conclusion, the planning and implementation process is a very tasking, painstaking process. But when it is properly implemented, it is really worth the effort. I use this method. I used it, and when I started using it, what I did was I planned for a term because it's a very, very painstaking process and difficult one, but it's achievable. So I planned for a term with my team. And what did we do? We sat down, we looked at all aspects of the school. We brainstormed, and you see, it took us about 2 weeks, 8 to 4, with take-home assignments before we produced the document for one term. But the beauty of it is that when we started implementing, the term went on very smoothly. At the end of the term, we were able to identify our milestones, our achievements, and that informed our decision for the next term. It may be painstaking, it may be laborious, but it is really worth the effort. Normally, an improvement plan should be done 3 years or maybe 1 year, but the standard is 3 years. But when you're starting, you may not start with a year, you may not even start with a term like I did. You can start with just a policy, just as we're preparing after this COVID-19 break. You may just start with one aspect and walk through that. Gain the experience before you broaden your planning process in other areas of the school system. To conclude, I'll just want us to write it. Let's hit the chat box. Write down your thoughts on this. Share with us. What have you learned in this session that you intend to do and put into practice? During this session, you must have learned one or two things, and not only learned it, you intend to do it and put it into practice. Yes, before we close, thank you, Mr. Aki Benjamin, painstaking for pays great dividends in genuine and measurable. Yes, what do you intend to do and put into practice? What policy do you want to review? Yes, monitoring is key. You will write your school policy. Fantastic. I didn't get the name, but I like that. Independence in learning. Thank you. A better understanding of school improvement plan and the need to carry others at very. Polaka Elliott, set goals and thank you. Set goals and work towards achieving them. I like that. Having a school improvement change in my school. Fantastic. Plan to make a positive change in my school. Any school that must succeed must have a comprehensive plan. Very correct, very true. You want to set possible, yes, set possible goals. And remember, SIP should be aimed at improving development, to create a development plan for my students, improved learning. Very good. Plan one next year. Yeah, very good. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation and I say a very big thank you for joining me. A big thank you to Bumi Adedayo Foundation for their vision and the opportunity they are giving to the foundation. And thank you to all participants.
Wow. Amen. Thank you very much, Ma. It's can we please put our hands together wherever we are for Mrs. Olufowobi? Yes, thank you. Put your hands together for that powerful session. School improvement planning. I took down a lot of things, and I like the fact that you did a reflection at the end of your session. So that has helped us to put what people have learned into context. Thank you very much for that amazing session that you took us through. Dear participants, we want to apologize that the time is 5:02. However, we would want to take a few more minutes to address two questions. We have two questions, and I want to quickly call on Ovigwe. You can stop sharing your screen, Mrs. Olufowobi, so that Ovigwe, you can come on to take the questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to have you here again. Okay, we're running out of time. Actually, we have just two questions, and I think they are similar, so I'll take it as one. So the question is to Mrs. Olufowobi. The question goes like this. It said, how do you ensure effective social distancing, yet inculcates the 21st century skill of collaboration? Mrs. Olufowobi, did you get my question, please? The question says, how do you ensure effective social distancing, yet inculcate the 21st century skill of collaboration? Then the second question, which I think is also similar to the first, said, in this social distancing, how do we collaborate with our learners? So it's the same thing. So can you quickly address that, please? Mr. Olufowobi, you can unmute yourself and address that.
In this COVID-19 era is very challenging, but it is not impossible, especially for schools that are on Zoom, on Google platform, even on WhatsApp. We can divide our students into groups and place them on various WhatsApp groups for those of us that use WhatsApp. Let them brainstorm, and whatever they come up with, they now discuss on the main chat. If it's a Zoom meeting, you can also break them into groups and allow them to collaborate and then share their experiences while online. And if you're working in a school that is not an online school, they're not interested, maybe because of various challenges, there are various methods you can use. You can assign tasks to them and get them to communicate with one another on phone, or any means they find suitable. Because in most of these schools, you find out that children live nearby. They could find a time, create a time where they talk and come up with their own ideas and share with others in the school. Social distancing is a big challenge when we resume, but it's not impossible to overcome. You must have a mind that says that I can. And I strongly believe in something. Where there is a will, there is always a way. Discussing with some educators, and even I think Lagos State Ministry of Education also said it. They're looking into the possibility of staggering school class, school attendance in school. Maybe primary 1 will come on Monday. It's possible. And then all teachers will be in school, and then you can spread the children to all classes. And in discussing with an educator, the educator told me, madam, primary 1 and KG is going to be a big problem if a family has children in KG, primary 2, primary 3, and primary 5, and primary 1 has to come on Monday, who will stay with the children at home? And when we started talking, we started brainstorming, we came up with with the idea that yes, a school can actually look at staggering the attendance in school using your school data, your family, and try your best possible to ensure that families come to school on the same day. It's going to take a long process, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of working together, getting your team to think through ideas. But I believe as we work individually in our schools, we'll come up with unique solutions. And note my word, unique, creative solutions that will be applicable to your own school and solve the problem in the school. It's not a one cap fits all.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you for that feedback. Right now, there are no more questions on the comment session. So I'd like to hand over right now to the program director, Mr. Martins, to close the session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vigwe. Thank you, Mrs. Olufobi, for answering the questions. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone out there as well who asked a question. Apologies to those who have questions but are unable to ask because of our time. All right, so as we begin to wrap up for today, I'd like to quickly, as is the custom, promote the next webinar. So again, it's not too late to ask your friends and colleagues to register. You can please head on to the website, bumadiafoundation.org/web series. Now, you will see a link that requests that you join a WhatsApp group, right? It's because of follow-up that we do that. So you need to join a WhatsApp group, which is where we'll get to share all the documents, the presentations, both in the past and the future ones. So that's a key benefit of joining the WhatsApp group. We also get to interact, start topics. If we need to bring in some of the facilitators to the platform to answer your questions, we'll be happy to do that. So it's majorly for interaction, okay? Next week, Thursday, marks the 5th series, and we're going to be fielding two professionals. Ms. Aki Benjamin is going to be taking behavioral management and positive discipline for learners, both in class and virtual. Mrs. Dilu Adekogbe, who was with us, I think the very first week, will also come back again to talk about differentiation in the classroom. learning styles and multiple intelligences. So you don't want to miss next week, and you also don't want to attend to this all by yourself. So please join us in promoting the series so that others can benefit. Finally, we'll not sweep this under the carpet. We would like to take responsibility. Yesterday, we had an Insta Live session, which unfortunately went awry. We could not achieve the goal. So we have postponed it. So all of you that were positioned to share your experiences in the webinar series, please still keep your thoughts. We're going to come back next week, but it's going to be next week Tuesday, and it's going to be earlier than 7 p.m. So maybe we'll be looking at 5 p.m. next week Tuesday. We'll have that live session where you'll be able to share with the world your experiences, your thoughts from the various sessions that we've had in the past, including today. So if you would like to be a part of those that will share your experience or your testimonials, please ensure that you join the WhatsApp group, because we have an ongoing conversation there, so that we can select and choose a few more people to add to those who are already on ground. Right, on this note, we would like to thank everyone for their understanding and your unwavering support. I would also want you to look into the chat box. We have a survey link. We always want to hear from you. We always want to know if there is a way to make our sessions better. So we want you to please click the link that's been posted to the group and to the chat box to fill the survey. This will still be sent to you again on your WhatsApp group, so you can please be on the lookout for it. Having spent more than a time, we don't want to go beyond 5.
It's just the audio affected some persons. It was breaking.
So
I think that's internet stuff affected.
Ambiguity, can you please mute your mic? As is the custom, I will want to unmute everyone now, right, to say thank you to the 3 powerful facilitators that we had today. We had the keynote speaker, Dr. Tunji Abimbola. We had the session 1 speaker on leadership motivation, Mrs. Unjidiaka. And we also had the second session speaker, Mrs. Tinuola Olufowobi. So I am unmuting everyone so that we can express ourselves, okay? So go ahead and unmute yourselves and say a big thank you to Mrs.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Ma. God bless you.
Ma. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma.
Thank you. I want to
Thank you, Ma.